Hello, everyone. Today, I have a pleasure of interviewing Crystal Shillingford from Ernst& Young. For those of you who don't know already, Ernst& Young is Ernst& Young, referred to as EY or E&Y, is one of the four largest CPA firms in the world. And Crystal is E&Y's West Region Diversity Inclusiveness Campus Recruiting Lead. I've actually known Crystal for many years now. Believe it or not, I've known her since 2015. And she's been actively involved in helping my students from my college, particularly underrepresented minority students. She's come to my campus multiple times to educate students about the accounting profession, as well as share with them opportunities to work at E&Y. Crystal, thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to come speak to my students today.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello, everyone.
Hey, well, let's get started. So the first question I wanted to ask you was, as I mentioned earlier, Ernst & Young is one of the four largest CPA firms in the world. But besides that information, can you share with my students a little bit more about Ernst & Young?
Yeah, so that is such a good question and very comprehensive, I think. So I'm like, how much time do we have? But outside of the information that you can get from our website of how we're, geographically organized and how many employees that we have at the firm and our service lines, et cetera, I think what is so exciting about EY is that there's just so much opportunity, right? You jump onto the website, you'll get lost. There's just so many facets and things that you can begin to explore, just depending on where you are in your career journey. So in terms of general information about EY, things that I actually like to focus on and highlight as I'm on campus and speaking with students is I like to turn it back to the student. What's important to you, right? Because if community engagement is important to you, we have a spot for you, right? We have options for you. If diversity is important to you, and really the initiatives that we have, then we have information for you, right? There's so many different things to explore. I think for me personally, what's very exciting about EY, just beyond what we have on our website, is some of our benefits and really the learning and professional development that we have here. So benefits wise, I mean, we have a very comprehensive total rewards package. I think many students turn to accounting because there is some benefits there, right? There's benefits to working in accounting. It's stable, it's the salary is competitive, and there is a really defined career path here, which to me is fantastic as well. But from an overall, just like professional development, right? EY is so focused on ensuring that each one of their 275,000 employees is developed, right? And developed robustly. So we have several programs in place to ensure that each individual gets to experience that training, right? So for me personally, as a recruiter at EY, I've been here for 8 years. I've had the most incredible experiences here. I started off the firm working in the Los Angeles office. I had also been the recruiter at that time for the Irvine office in San Diego. I also have done a rotation in New York City for a few months. The firm actually moved myself and my partner across the US to really experience something brand new. I've done an experience in Brazil, a community engagement program, and all of this to say that these were things that were important to me. When I was looking for a firm, I said community engagement is important. Mobility is important to me, and also diversity was important. And so I made that very known. I communicated that and found those opportunities at EY. So very long-winded answer to say that there is so much more to EY than just what's on our website, right? So much more to what we do from a cultural angle, and overall benefits and learning perspective that I think each one of you will really enjoy.
Well, great. Now, you mentioned the word diversity, and I know E&Y does a lot to promote diversity and inclusion. I know they put on every year at their Los Angeles office a conference called Elements of Success Conference, for example, right? So can you please share with my students more information about such programs?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Elements of Success. The program has just recently passed. It was on Saturday, September 28th in the greater Los Angeles office. And so for Elements of Success, as an example, we host this program in Southern California where we invite students from San Diego, from Irvine, and also greater LA to participate. And Elements of Success is a professional development program, right? So just for perspective, we had about 300 250 applicants, and we extended invites to 100, right? And the students that attended Elements of Success were from four-year institutions, they were from community college, the whole gamut. And so we are so invested from a diversity angle. And so Elements of Success is one of those programs that fall under that umbrella. To just dive a little bit deeper into that program, Elements of Success is a program that's hosted by our Latino Professional Network and Black Professional Network, which are two of our affinity groups. We have many affinity groups at EY, but those are just two of them, in conjunction with campus recruiting. Students that attend the program will go through a number of workshops. So professional development workshops that'll include what it means to be a female or woman in business, right? And a leader at the firm. We'll go through resume working workshops. We'll go through mock interviews. We'll go through a number of additional workshops that really help from a professional development angle. Our goal is for you to leave that program with new tools in your toolbox. And so Elements of Success to us is a very important program. While the next step to Elements of Success isn't at all times a job offer. There are times when we use this program really to source additional talent to some of our opportunities in Southern California and even beyond. So as you look to the program and just really opportunities above and beyond what's offered on campus for year 2020 and beyond, let that be an option for you. In addition to Elements of Success, there's several other programs that we have. At the freshman space, we have a program called Discover EY. Discover EY is an annual program that we host with about 250 plus freshman students. So again, when I say freshmen, I mean students that are graduating in about 3 years, right? Depending on if you're at a 4-year institution or a 5-year institution. But DEY, freshman-based program specific for underrepresented minorities. And this again is one of our primary entry points to the firm from an underrepresented minority standpoint. This is definitely a program where I urge you, if you are a freshman or you're graduating in about 3 years, to look into this program. It's hosted annually in Dallas, Texas. And the program includes workshops. It really is like a 3-day, summer camp or crash course into EY and really what we do, right? So you'll hear from top leadership, our America's Vice Chairs, our America's Leader for Campus Recruiting within Diversity. So many just high-level executives that are pouring into you all as students to just learn more about what we do, the services that we offer, the professional of the future, and ways to really leverage skill sets beyond just the traditional accounting path, and what we're really doing in the future and ways that you can contribute to that. So Discover EY is another great opportunity. Also at the freshman space, we have a program called Global Perspectives. So GPC is the acronym for that. Global Perspectives is hosted in Southern California, as well as our Bay Area. And this is another just like 1-day crash course to EY to learn a little bit more about what we do, but at a global level. So we have leadership that has had experiences abroad. We have leadership that currently service clients abroad, and they talk a lot about their experiences and what it means to be a global representative of EY, how those experiences have really helped their trajectory within the firm. So it's a fantastic opportunity and something that we recruit for on an annual basis as well. Outside of DEY, GPC, again, tons of acronyms, right? And Elements of Success, we have several internship opportunities as well. So the Launch Internship Program is another opportunity for those that are about 2 years out from graduation. And the Launch Internship Program is a rotational based internship for sophomore students. So as an incoming student, pursuing the Launch Internship Program, you have the opportunity to rotate in audit, in our tax practice, our advisory practice, and other specialty practices within each market. And really the intention behind the program is to give you a taste of what it's like to be a professional in audit or in tax, right? To give you early exposure to that. So that way, as you're pursuing your next step as a client-serving intern, in that respective practice, you've already gotten some of that experience, right? So this one is another really, really awesome opportunity. The Launch Internship is hosted every summer. It's about 6 to 7 weeks, and you basically work side by side with our client serving interns. Another program within the sophomore space is our ELP, Emerging Leaders Program. So the Emerging Leaders Program is another entry level or entry point into the firm. And ELP is something that we recruit for on an annual basis as well. You'll come to each one of our offices, depending on what you're interested in, whether it's LA or San Diego, Bay Area, etc. And you'll experience about 1 to 2 days of a crash course into EY. Learn a lot about our culture, and that experience will extend throughout the summer. In addition to that, I mean, we are definitely focused on our gender initiatives. We have women in technology, women in financial services, several programs once you start with the firm from a overall retention angle and just opportunities to keep you plugged in once you start with the firm. So there are so many things that we offer here from an overall development angle and just to get you just that general exposure to EY. So I urge you to really visit our website, take some time to really explore our careers page. My explanation in the last, 3 to 5 minutes probably doesn't do it justice. There's just so much to explore. But that's just a snapshot of some of the programs that we offer.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. And I want to thank you and Ernst & Young for providing several of my students these opportunities. Again, thank you so much for selecting several of my students to attend the Element of Success Conference in Southern California. I've also had several students been able to take advantage of your internship programs. They were able to work in Los Angeles office or in the San Jose office, been able to work on top clients. It's just been a wonderful experience for them. And they've come back and said, hey, Professor Liu, it's just an amazing experience. So there are so many opportunities you guys are indeed providing to students. And what I'll do is I'll put in the video description below links to some of those programs as well as your website so that any viewer can click on it and explore further these programs.
Fantastic. That sounds good.
All right. One last question. Now, suppose I'm a student and after watching this video, I'm now inspired to consider a career in accounting and perhaps work for Ernst & Young. Now, what can I as a student do to make prepare myself to be the best, most qualified candidate and be attractive to a firm like Ernst & Young?
Yeah, absolutely. And such a great question. I think there's several things that you can do as a student, but I've kind of bulleted out to like 5 different focus points. So as a student, no matter where you're at, whether it's a community college or a 4-year institution, I would just say really determine what you're interested in, right? Are you interested in pursuing an internship, full-time? And that's all based off of where you are in your matriculation, right? So as a community college student, as an example, one of the requirements that we have before we move forward with an internship or a full-time offer is that we understand where you are in your academic trajectory, right? Are you an incoming transfer student, right? Are you transferring fall 2020 or spring 2021? And if you are, we work kind of backwards to determine what role might work for you. So I think it's helpful if you understand where you are on that journey as well. So that way we can find the right opportunities that are viable and options for you. As a 4-year student, it really is just understanding what it is that you're interested in, right? Whether you're involved in Accounting Society on campus or you're involved in any other organization, it's really important to just know what your options are, right? So that's first and foremost, determine what it is that you're interested in and what level you're at based off of when you are planning to graduate or planning to transfer. I would say make sure your GPA is competitive, right? While I can't give you a grade point average that I'm looking for, I'm saying remain competitive, right? So make sure that you are getting great grades. Make sure you're putting in the time and the effort to learn the curriculum. You're working with your TAs, your SIs, whatever it may be to ensure that you're excelling in each one of your classes. And we look at all classes, by the way. I think there's this this rumor, this myth around that we only look at accounting courses. I mean, we look at all classes, your business classes, your prereqs, we look at it all, right? Because they're all very much important. Your communications classes, your ethics courses, we look at it all, right? So just make sure that you're doing well, you're excelling, and you're putting in the effort to remain competitive. We also look at resumes. So I always encourage students, make sure your resume looks good. Make sure it's formatted correctly. Make sure you have some great experience on that. So in terms of just like overall format, and every recruiter, every firm looks for something so different. But in terms of general format, right, it's your education on top, it's your work experience in the middle, and at the bottom of your resume, it's your volunteer-based experience, it's your extracurriculars, any additional skill sets, right? So from an education standpoint, include your GPA, major and cumulative, include your transfer timeline if you're from a community college, or include your CPA eligibility date if you are aware of that and you're planning to pursue a CPA. Any other certifications that you may have or you're looking to consider, include that as well. For work experience, things that are relevant, right? And that could be anything. It could be customer service based, it could be technical based, but make sure you drop that into your work experience section. And volunteer wise, do not sell yourself short. Do not limit this section of your resume. We look at everything. If you're a volunteer on campus or you're a member of a student org, whether it's related to accounting or not, or related to a business or not, drop that into your resume. We like to see where you're spending your time, right? Outside of the 3 to 5 courses or 3 to 6 courses that you're taking each semester or quarter, we want to know what else is taking up your time, right? You're involved on campus as a member, as an e-board member, etc. So drop that in, add a couple bullet points, the number of hours that you're spending on these extracurriculars per week. These are all things we'll consider. I'd also even say if you're involved in your community, you're a soccer coach, you're a volunteer at the YMCA, at your local food pantry, whatever it is, include that. Again, for us, we're not just looking for one type of student, one type of candidate. We're looking for a diverse mix of students that bring in several different experiences, involvements. And so we want to see that on your resume, right? And just know that your resume is just the entry point. These are all things we'll talk through during an assessment process, through just office hours with me or any other recruiter. This is just your entry point. So you may not be able to put everything on that resume, but make sure you think about those top differentiators that you want us to know as we initially review your resume. I'd also say to do your research, right? There are, as I mentioned earlier, our website is full of information, just full of information, and we have so many opportunities. So I would say, as you're engaging with professionals, whether it's on campus, through your student organizations, make sure you do your research, right? Make sure you know what you're looking for. And maybe you're on the fence between service lines, or you're on the fence with your graduation date. So you have an idea of what you're looking for, but you're not quite certain. At least come to us with that type of information, right? So that way we can help refine that path for you. But do your research, go on our website, find out things that we're invested in the space, whether it's community engagement, whether it's technology, innovation, recruiting overall. Do your research, come with questions, come hungry, right? We love to see students that are hungry, that are motivated to, and that are self-starters, right? So those are things that we're really looking for. I'd say leverage your faculty on campus, whether they're business-based faculty, they're accounting-based faculty. The power of your faculty and professors is endless, right? And we definitely want to make sure that you leverage them. They have a large network as well, right? Ming and I obviously work very closely together, and so there's one entry point, right? But continue to leverage other faculty members with questions, right? It could just be generalized questions as well, maybe not even recruiting related, but it's more so of like what you should consider as you're looking at other firms, as you're looking at opportunities, as you're looking for service lines. And I'm sure your faculty would be happy to provide some insight based off of their experience and their overall exposure, right? So leverage and consult with faculty. use your career services. There is power in your career services, right? They can help with resumes. They can help with, how you present yourself, your professional development, your executive presence. So leverage your career services. I'd even say leverage your peers, right? There's so many students that have gone through recruiting or are going through recruiting that have some great insight. So leverage your peers. There is definitely power in folks that have gone through the experience already, so they can talk to you a little bit about that and what firms they look for in their perspective. And I'd say lastly, identify ways to get plugged in. On campus, there are so many organizations that you can get plugged in with, right? And I hope that you are. I hope that you're taking advantage of that, whether it's the accounting societies of the world, the beta alpha size of the world, NABAs, the alphas at a campus level. But I'd even say even look beyond your campus. How else could you get plugged in? Are there national organizations that you can get connected with, like a Toastmasters or a NABA National or an Alpha National, an Ascend? These are all organizations that have an accounting slant to it or a business slant to it, but there's so many other organizations that you can get plugged into. So I urge you to find those ways to get plugged in at a campus level and even beyond. So those are the 5 pearls that I have, I guess. I'm sure it's felt like it was a lot more than 5, but there's a lot that you can do. I'd say if you're kind of stuck and you're just like, I don't know where to go, talk to your peers and talk to your faculty first to determine your next steps, just to give you an idea of really where to start. So Ming, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, great. Hey, that's a lot of really practical and useful information that my students can will digest after watching this video. So, hey, thank you so much for coming to, again, share these words of wisdom with my students. I personally really appreciate always you giving your time. And I look forward to seeing you at one of the future recruiting events.
Okay, that sounds good. And thank you so much for your time as well.
Okay, have a great day.
Thanks, you too.